Jai Hind students, this is Sonali Mangal. Welcome to my YouTube channel SM Centaurus. The topic which we are dealing today is analytical paragraph, which is given in class 10th CBSE board writing skills. So first let me tell you what is an analytical paragraph. It is a form of descriptive writing which is explaining certain graph, data, table, chart. As the name is given that it is analytical paragraph, so definitely whatever data, whatever graph, whatever problem, whatever map has been given in the question that you need to analyze, and then you have to give a description of that analysis. So there is a proper format also for writing analytical paragraph, and these tips I will be telling you in the further few minutes. It doesn't describe some data but also points out some specific parts of it to justify your statement. Means it's not just description. Yes, when you are analyzing, you are describing whatever is given, but you are pointing out certain specific parts in order to justify whatever you have analyzed, whatever you are writing in your analysis. So what strategy you should follow while writing an analytical paragraph? First, you read the given data carefully, understand the topic on which analytical paragraph is written, carefully study the trends, means if it is ascending or descending, increasing, decreasing, or it is showing continuous deviation, that analysis you have to take. Use the trends as an evidence to support your statement. Whatever you are speaking without any evidence, without any uh, base, you cannot speak. Without any evidence, you cannot give any statement in analytical paragraph. There are three parts: introduction, mid part of the analytical paragraph, that is called body, and conclusion in the format. Some key characteristics we have to remember, which are like the word limit, it should be 120 to 150 words. Precise, it should be precise, it should not be detailed, and well directed, means it is able to make itself clear. Clear and crisp language should be implemented. The entire paragraph should be written using a single tense. Tense we have not to change again and again. Personal opinion should not be included in the paragraph, means from your own imagination you cannot write something. It is not just reading, it is your analysis. You have to see which type of pattern, increase or decrease, or sudden deviation is found in the graph, or whatever the table, the data table is given in that, which type of trend is being followed in the graph or data table, that you have to see. It should clearly portray the stated facts. Whatever the facts are given, they should be pointed out properly. The use of first person pronouns should be omitted because it is not your own opinion. That is given in the question. Your own opinion has nothing to do with data interpretation or analytical paragraph. Data interpretation you may have done in mathematics also in the previous classes. So first let me tell you what is analytical paragraph and what are its different types. Analytical paragraph, your analysis which you are writing in a proper format. And there are different kinds of analytical paragraph. Some are data oriented. Here the class 10th students would be required to carefully comprehend. Comprehend means to understand and analyze the information that is presented in the form of graphs. As you can see that in this PPT you can see one pie chart is there, one bar graph is there. So you have to analyze them and then you have to do comparative analysis and then you have to draw one conclusion. Some analytical paragraphs can be map oriented. As you can see that there are two maps of two cities of two different years. One is of 1930, one is of 2010. And what are the differences in the city planning in the due course of time that have taken place, that you have to analyze and then you have to describe and conclude in the analytical paragraph. Information oriented. This revolves around comprehending and processing the provided information that is presented as input and eventually describing in the form of a paragraph. It can be given in the form of pie chart, bar graph, table, paragraph, line graph, etc. As you are the students of maths also, so definitely you are well aware about what is a bar graph, what is a pie chart, how does a table look like, है ना? How does a line graph look like? It is in your physics also. So this is an interdisciplinary topic which I think you know very well. This is an example of problem oriented analytical paragraph. Here one picture is given and some data is also given along with the picture. And here in this type of graph you will get a problem and you will be required to think rationally because you are well aware about this problem of the extinction of some wild animals, how they are getting extincted. So everything is not given or written. The problem is posed in the form of data that you have to understand, analyze, and describe by using a perfect language which is proper for analytical paragraph. So this is the graph that illustrates production in India referring to the same right and analytical paragraph in 150 to 100 in 150 to 200 words. Process description oriented. Here you can see some flow chart and this is a flow chart related to the situation setback. How setback, which is a condition of mind, occurs to a person, how does its processing takes place if we are healthy minded person. And if we are not able to cope up with the feeling of upset being upset, then how does it affect our body? This is given in this flowchart. So this is process description oriented analytical paragraph. This type of flowcharts are also coming in this category which is known as analytical paragraph. What is the format of analytical paragraph? It is having three parts. First is introduction. It is the first paragraph that should describe in brief what the graph is about. It should be like an opening paragraph that introduces to the reader what it connects the reader to the context of the chart given. Body of the paragraph. This part of the analytical paragraph should contain details of the graph or chart given in the question. The body can be broken into two or three subparagraphs depending on the information extracted from the graph. If you are breaking it into more subparagraphs, it makes the reader to understand it easily. Organization of information is very much important. You should look for the large differences that are very prominent. You can mention the aspect which is the smallest or the largest in the data given. Any aspects that are similar should be mentioned next. You should further mention about the aspect that has remained unchanged or remain constant. Comparing information. If the chart mentions two different parties, for example, men and women, refer to both of them in the analytical paragraph. If there is any contrast or comparison that could be drawn, you must present it effectively. If the chart is about a particular time period or highlights trends of several years, mention each year in a concise manner. If any comparison or contrast can be done for two or more years, you should write about it too. Mentioning quantities. When including numbers and figures, their accuracy must be ensured. You can use a ruler in order to reach to the correct number. Sometimes by assuming if some point is between two numbers, you cannot assume, you just use your ruler for the sort of accuracy so that you can reach to the exact digit. Mentioning quantities. When including numbers and figures, as I have told that their accuracy should be ensured. Ki what is the percentage, what is the fraction, what is the ratio, it should be ensured. And while connecting sentences, if different information or ideas are there, you should use proper connectors or phrases to link them logically. And they should be logically connected with each other. Sentence of the paragraph should be logically connected with each other. The last paragraph should summarize the idea mentioned and the information in general. It should be concluding in nature and act as the closing statement. One should keep in mind that one must not include any personal opinion, conclusion, or observation. Useful tips or an introduction, you can start with the following phrases. The chart given describes, the table suggests, the line graph shows, the data given provides information about, the pie chart illustrates. For describing trends, what will you do? You will use phrases and words like a pattern of growth, rapidly doubled, skyrocketed, striking increase, peaked, soaring rates, soaring rates, declined, plummeted, leveled off, stagnated, fluctuate, starting to rise, starting to fall, drop down slightly, etc. Means for different types of trends, I have told you the phrases. If you are describing quantities, you can use percentage, this much percentage of, like 48 percentage of. You can describe fraction, one third of. If you are not exactly sure, then you can use the word nearly or approximately. Nearly one fourth of, almost 80%, majority, on average, twice as much, almost equal, the highest, the lowest, very close to 2%, roughly, approximately 5% of, just under 3%. Such type of phrases you can use. For establishing a relationship or contrast, use phrases and words like relationship, between, similarly in contrast with, in comparison to, but in the opposite case, however, whereas, when it comes to, as opposed to, while, striking difference, noticeable difference, such phrases you can use. For the conclusion, you can use the words overall, subsequently, in all, in a nutshell, for the chart given, in short, striking changes, including, therefore. These type of connecting words or phrases you can use in the concluding paragraph. Here I am sharing one slide of a solved analytical paragraph. The given pie chart represents the amount of money spent by a family on different items in a month. As you can see that this is the first paragraph, this is the opening paragraph, this is introduction. From here only you will take the introduction from the question itself. First I have read the question. From the question itself you will take the introduction by a slight change in the words. The given pie chart provides information about the amount of money a family has spent on different items in a month. You can see the same language I have repeated by a little bit twisting and turning. Now you can see, as you can see in this graph, that the majority of the expenses or maximum expenses have taken place in which category or which item, that is grocery. So on an average the family has spent majority on grocery. Directly it has not mentioned ki 23%, because if you are directly writing the figure then it is not an analysis, it is just like reading. What is analysis? What is analysis? What you see, you think in your mind, and then what you get from that, what from your perception, that what you get from that by using your own thinking, that is your analysis. Means analysis requires your own brain efforts, and reading only your eyes, what your eyes have seen, that you are just reading. So not just reading but analysis you have to do. So then they have written ki, which is 23% of the total expenses, whereas it has spent 20% on education, which shows that it's the second priority of the family. The other item on which it has spent the most is clothes and transportation, which levels of 19 and 18% respectively. Now both items which are nearby, they are taken nearly together, transport and clothes, at the third number, because it is the third highest. First highest was grocery, second highest is education, and third is clothes and transportation. 15% of their expenses were on other items that might include stationery, cosmetics, accessories, etc. And the least they had spent was on their rent. This is the, which I was, when I was explaining the data, this is the mid part of the paragraph. Then what they have written in the conclusion. Now what do you conclude from this? Overall, the data shows that they have not spent much on the unnecessary items or miscellaneous. So this is the conclusion, because grocery is very much important thing. You cannot live without the grocery items, you cannot cook without the grocery items. Then the second most priority they have given to the education, so it is also very necessary. After spending on grocery, which is at most important, they have spent a significant amount on education. This is written in this slide. The least money is spent on miscellaneous items after spending on their rent, which is their liability. Thus, it is evidential that 85% of their total amount of money was spent on their liabilities, whereas only 15% was spent on other items that might not be necessary to spend on. So, I think that you have understood this explanation. Thank you very much.